and it was just I guess the process of growth, of getting past the dumb stuff.
Yeah. But I think Jay, Jay, you were injured what year?
Oh, wait a second. I had to turn my mic back on. All right. You can,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 2003 was my first initial injury. Then 2006, I shattered my foot. 2007, 2008. I don't know what year. It was somewhere in that cross between because we were there, from 06 to 08. I got hit by a 120 and 120 rocket, and it rattled my Bradley pretty good. And we all thought we were fine. And just as of May 24th, or actually we'll go back January of this year, they found out my brain was swollen to the point where I had to have surgery. So May 24th, they went in and opened my skull and drained all the fluid and did some magic tricks, and I'm still alive and still kicking. I can see fine and I can think straight now. So,
outstanding. I'm glad you're better.
Well, and you were talking about Jeff Shaw's inner dialogue. Trying to integrate. I was the king of the fobbits. I had a little throne and everything, cardboard crown, but hairy feet and everything. But and I was a nasty DA civilian to boot. But I know when I came back, it was just really weird. I mean, I can't even describe it. And I can't imagine what it would be like for a combat vet trying to figure out where everything fits now. And I think that. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh no, it was. I wasn't trying to cut you off. It was just, like I said, it was a weird time. I was 26, I guess, when I came home. I tried going to school. I hated school, and I hated school. I hated liberals. I hated the college professors. I had one really good class that I loved. That was Don Quixote and world literature, and I'm a huge Cervantes fan. I love Don Quixote.
Right.
And it was an interesting class, but it was like 8 o'clock in the morning, so half the time if I showed up, I was reeking of booze. And and he was always one of these guys that would make comments about the only reason that we Columbus sailed for the New World was because they had to have something to do with their army, with their soldiers after the Crusades, because they didn't want them hanging around Spain. He was just a real jerk. Like I was sitting there drunk and thinking about punching him in the face, which at the time I guess at the time I didn't see I had some cognitive dissonance I had to deal with myself in, but it just, it is what it is.
Sounds like you instruct anger management.
Yeah. Anger management doesn't work.
No, we all wanted to thump the instructor within the first 10 minutes.
Hey, at least you guys aren't going to sit through the latest, this latest sexual harassment and rape prevention training. Oh, my goodness. It's painful. It's horrible.
Yeah. I don't miss that part of the Army at all.
Oh, yeah. I got up
still with PowerPoint?
Death by PowerPoint and PowerPoint Rangers?
Actually, no. This was, I've never seen anything like this. Salon Magazine produced and funded a movie, a documentary called The Invisible War. And it is like, leftist, anti-military, anti-male, all men in the military are rapists. And the SecDef ordered everybody to sit down and watch that film. And I'm sitting there, I'm an acting supervisor. I'm sitting there with the folks in my shop, and I just got up and left. I said, "This is insulting. I'm not, they'll just have to spank my butt and send me to Afghanistan again."
Aww.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of hard to co-host a radio show from there.
Oh, go on.
I was going to say, I just had a nice evening with an old friend of mine who's still in the Army. He's at Fort Hood now. He is a acting first sergeant, which just blows my freaking mind. That somebody that, my age is a freaking first sergeant. And he's actually younger than me, which is scary. But, for me. But you hear these guys that stay in for 10, 12 years, 20 years, and it doesn't sound like it as much fun as it is the first couple of years. I wrote a blog, I wrote a thing about it. It's all I want to do is hang out with my buds and be in combat and have the adrenaline rush and jump out of airplanes. I don't want to, all the logistical BS, he's got a real headache. The guys that make it a career, my head is off to them because I don't think I could have done that. 20 years of garrison, no way.
I tried. I fought on board tooth and nail for, I don't know, seems like years. I mean, I tried reclassing. I tried everything. And it was a no-go from day one, but it was, I miss it every day. And the fact that I live 2 miles from the back gate to Fort Stewart makes it even worse.
Oh, that's got to suck.
Yeah.
I had a chance to stay in right before I got out, and I was Walter Reed for 9 months. I was in Germany for a solid year after we redeployed back, trying to get fixed. I finally got sent to Walter Reed. I was there for 9 or 10 months, something, and I was you're out processing, going through the stuff, and I was in a real weird place because it took so long to get fixed, and I had an cumulative injury. They offered to med board me, but if I went for the med board, I was going to have to stay another year at Walter Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was already a month after my ETS date, or my PCS date, my ETS date, I guess, my end of service. So I was like, no, screw you, screw this. And 6 months later, I was calling the recruiter trying to get back in. He was like, no, go put in your stuff and get your disability. You're not coming in. They weren't giving waivers for spinal fusions.
Right.
Yeah, I don't.
So you were ready. I'm sorry about that, Jake. Sorry about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you were ready at end of service. That was already processed, and they were trying to extend you another year to med you.
Yeah, they would have. I would have had to stay there another year to get med boarded. That's what they told me.
Wow, man, has it changed?
And
yeah.
I was just like, at the time, I hated Walter Reed. I hated Walter Reed. They had these guys that had never been downrange, had been uber soft skilled the whole time they'd been in, walking around telling us we needed to, have our proper uniforms on at all. I didn't even take a uniform with me to Walter Reed. I had nothing but civvies. And they're just like, why aren't you in uniform? Because I'm not I'm not really in the Army. I mean, come on, let's be honest. I have this ingrained, I have a pathological disdain for authority. And I have this ingrained, I just can't shut my mouth. If I see something that's stupid, I can't just go along with it. I gotta point it out. And I'm there, why aren't you at formation? Why do you have formation? You have a bunch of cripples that got blown up.
We're at the VA hospital. I mean, give me a break. Come on now.
There was a guy there. There was a guy in my platoon, in one of my, there at Walter Reed, who had been in like 15 years. And this was, 10 years ago almost. He'd been in 15 years. He had, before the wars, he had worked, he'd been EOD that whole time. He'd worked with the Secret Service and all sorts of stuff, doing all sorts of hula stuff as an EOD guy. He looks like the Patchwork Man, right? He's missing fingers on one hand. They had to sew a leg back onto his body. Like his leg got unattached, and they had to sew it back on. And these uber pogues, and I don't call someone a pogue just because they got a soft skill on MOS. To me, it's a mindset thing. These suckers, and here I am trying to watch my language. These suckers,
I'm biting my tongue.
are telling him he needs to be at formation, like 8 o'clock formation every day. And we're all just sitting there looking at them like they have lost their dadgum minds. This cat was sleeping 3 hours a week on a pharmacy of pills.
Lord have mercy.
And these guys are, I keep saying I'm going to write a story about that, but every time I go back to that time, it spins me into a tizzy of horrible, so I haven't done it yet. But it was.
I can just envision being in the middle of Walter Reed. Guys are in their Class A uniforms with IVs hanging out of their arms, legs, walkers, crutches, the whole deal, trying to go to formation because some West Point person tries to tell them what they need to do that they need to snap to.
And I remember
I'm sorry, I went there. Sorry.
There was this one kid, and they had all of us that had been downrange. They had all of us together with the guys that were the guys that had got injured in training. The guys that had jumped off the stairs and broken their ankles so they wouldn't have to go.
Self-inflicted ouchies.
They were all mixed in with us. And I remember this one kid. I remember, and this just shows you what a horrible person I can be. I was sitting there with this one buddy of mine, and he had a legitimate injury. He was all messed up. He had fallen. He'd fallen off one of the obstacle courses in basic.
Right.
He'd fell and messed up his back. He had the same injury that I did, basically. Had to have a spinal fusion. The doctor, when they put the bolt into his spine, drilled it at an angle and hit his sciatic nerve.
Oh.
Well, he's fucked for life then.
Yep.
Oh. And he's a real good guy. We're still friends. But he had issues because he was hanging out with guys like me that had been downrange and other guys that were stone heroes. And he's sort of lumped in, he feels lumped in with all the dirtbags, And there was this one dirtbag who had messed up his ankle or whatever. I hated this kid. I freaking hated him. And he had some morphine. Some of us that were crippled, and not really me, but some of the other guys had having trouble. For some reason, they were having trouble getting their pain pills. And this kid had a freaking big bottle of prescription opium in pill form.
Ugh.
So he didn't have it very long. I probably shouldn't tell that story. I'm probably a horrible person for admitting to bullying a punk, but it happens.
Well,
the problem is people like that deserve it. I mean, we have a saying, you never go full hua, and most of the guys that go full hua have never been there and don't know how to walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah, don't go full hua. Never.
But have you noticed the younger guys in the military, even now? I mean, I'm not going to mention what base, but I've got buddies that are still active there, and the younger ones are driving them insane, and they can't do nothing about it anymore.
No, yeah. It's. I don't know. I was a staff sergeant out, in a scout section, and it went from one day you're able to handle most everything yourself